Hello, everyone. This is Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Don't curse, speak English. Armstrong. Virtuous society. Armstrong. I dare you to listen. Hey, turn it up. Hey. Armstrong. Get on the right side. Armstrong. Elevate your mind. Armstrong. I'm Armstrong Williams on the right side. Armstrong. Yo, man, it's your boy K.O. And you're tuned into the most conservative of our brothers. Armstrong. The Armstrong Williams Show. Please give me a break. Grow up. Welcome to the Armstrong Williams Show. Thank you so much for joining us. Happy holidays. Our guests today, John and Tina Bushman. They both find their greatest joy in spending time together as a family. That's not unusual. They are the proud parents of 5 wonderful children. It's not unusual. And they find that most rewarding in their family is watching their children learn, discover, and grow, whether it's in a formal setting, around the table, in the car, or on an outing. It's not unusual. But this is a very interesting concept that they have that we're going to talk about today. It's called tabletop book. I wonder how many of you have ever heard of a tabletop book. Well, you're going to hear about it today because our guests are here to talk about it. In fact, I've been studying it, and I found it fascinating, actually. Questions and quotes to start hundreds of great family discussions on patriotism, values, fun, and faith. Let me welcome the Bushmans to the show. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us.
How you doing, Armstrong?
Well, I'm doing pretty good. Where's your other half?
Oh, I'm right here. Thank you for having us.
Just speak up for us. What is patriotism?
Patriotism encompasses so many things. It's what are your beliefs about government? What do you think, what role does our nation play in the world? And boy, trying to teach that today can be so difficult.
But you haven't told me anything.
I think it would just be your love of your country. Patriotism is a love of your country and standing up for what your country should stand for and expressing that.
Isn't it a little more? Isn't it also willing to sacrifice for your country?
Absolutely. You're right. And, it's just like a battle going on in society. We have our wonderful soldiers who, are in literal battle. But then, boy, there's this battle going on that takes courage right now in society. And it's, so many things fighting against families today.
I like this topic because, we throw out all these terms. We never take our guests to task to explain it, which I know they can if they're pushed. And we're going to do that today. And so, obviously, I was looking forward to this conversation today with John and Tina. Patriotism. Are you for it or against it? This is a thinking man's show. Love for one's country, to support, serve, and defend, to be inspired, to change for the better, and to care deeply for its citizens. Wow. Remember this? We hold these truths to be self-evident that all men are created equal, that they are endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and among those are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness, that to secure these rights, government are institutional and instituted among men, deriving their just powers from the consent of the governed, that wherever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people, we the people, to alter or to abolish it and to institute new government, laying its foundation on such principles and organizing its powers in such form as to them shall seem most likely to affect their safety and happiness. I submit to you that is what patriotism is about.
Absolutely. I like how you said, we the people. So often we want to say, well, let's have the government do it instead. Let's, if we want our children to be taught, well, boy, it'll be up to the schools and it'll be up to, if we can have the White House be perfect and the Congress in our schools, when really change in America, to me, that's on the micro level, not the macro level, and getting our families reawakened. Armstrong, I love the title of your book, Reawakening Virtues.
Thank you.
Because I think we've gone to sleep to a large degree as a nation, and values, families are often just kind of saying, hey, boy, dinner, okay, well, hey, where's the remote? And they just want to watch TV, and values and these things like patriotism you're talking about, they just aren't talked about in the family circles anymore so often.
And Tina, talk about the fact that freedom is not free. Freedom is not the license to do whatever you desire. It is the opportunity to become who you are, and your country is greater by it. Existentially speaking, we are condemned to freedom, as Sartre once stated so long ago. True liberty is living as we should, Tina, not as we please.
Exactly. I totally agree with what all you just said about that freedom is not free. It's something that you have to work for and something you have to sacrifice for, and it's something you need to teach your kids, as we've noticed with our kids, that they're coming home with these different ideas of what our country stands for and what they're hearing from their own parents of what freedom is, what patriotism is. And we're realizing that we have to start, like when they're little, to teach them what we believe, teach them to stand up for what they believe. And then also, if they want to change what is happening in our country and what freedom means in our country right now, if they want to change that, they'll have to start now in their beliefs, that it's a process, that it's a working thing. You can't just want it. You have to actually work for it.
I agree with that. And John, our Constitution was made only for a moral, as much as they try to tell us otherwise that they threw the politically correct, and I call them incorrect. It is only for a moral and righteous people. It is wholly inadequate to the government of any other. This is from one of our founding fathers, John Adams.
Yes. Yeah, if we're not a moral people, it's just not going to work. And, morality, your book, Reawakening Virtues, I'm sure it's not saying that, it's governments that's the solution to the problems. It's morals as individuals and families. That's, in the family is where we're losing the battle for our culture, for our nation. And it's also the good side of it. The family is where we're going to win the battle. And if we can re-engage, reawaken our families and start talking about things, our book is really just doing the same thing as your book, except kind of a different angle. It's a bunch of questions and quotes to get families engaged, talking about the things that matter, talking about patriotism and virtue and morality and work ethic and, not this state of dependency on the government and, being prepared. And so just questions that are engaging and getting families talking instead of, just watching TV and waiting for the schools to try to educate our children.
Tina, I certainly embrace that. Many of those principles and values I certainly emphasize in my most recent book, Reawakening Virtues. But it also, we should never let anyone claim to be a true American patriot if they ever attempt to separate religion from politics. This is what our founding and first president, George Washington, stated over 200 years ago. And there exists nothing like the so-called absolute liberty. There has to be guidelines for liberty. This is established so that nobody could misuse one's liberty against oneself or others. And you are free in all of what you do in a way that does not violate other people's rights and their liberties. Talk about that.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. That quote that you mentioned about morality, it's one of the quotes in the book that goes along with the question, and what is the purpose of, or what role does virtues and morality play in government life? There's that question, and then that quote that you had mentioned, and together it gives a parent a tool to talk about these things. Something kind of scary that happened, kind of a story that happened in our family. Our daughter Emily, she came home from school, and we're like, okay, hey, tell us kids what happened at school. And she's like, boy, our history class, we were talking about politics the whole time. Now, this was in 2008. And, yeah, we were talking about modern politics, and And I'm like, well, how long were you doing that for? Oh, the whole class period. You know, they weren't even talking about history. They were just talking about, okay, the politics right now. And I'm like, okay, well, what'd you talk about? And she goes, this one, he was going on and on about politics, and then one of the kids in the class, he raises his hand and says, well, what's the difference between a Republican and a Democrat? And I'm like, okay, what did your teacher say? And the teacher said, the difference is Republicans believe that people are inherently bad, and Democrats believe that people are inherently good. That's the difference.
That's an outrage.
I was floored. I was just like, oh, you're kidding me.
It's outrageous. That teacher should have been fired.
The funny thing, then I said, well...
That's brainwashing is what that is.
What's that?
That's brainwashing.
But then she turned to me and said, well, Dad, what is the difference? And I was like, and I wanted to be fair. Here, this teacher was completely unfair. So I'm like, okay, what if I were the teacher and someone asked me that? And, I want to be fair and balanced and everything. So I said, well, Emily, Democrats believe the purpose of government is, as they see it, to make people's lives better. So they'll make, regulations and try to do things so people will be safe and make their lives better as they see it. Republicans believe that as much as possible, government should be minimized because if it stays out of the way, people make their own lives better. And they don't need the government. The government will actually make it worse often. And she's like, oh, okay. And, we discussed more. But, boy, these conversations, most of the time, the first time they ever think about these things are often in a classroom with often...
John and Tina Bushman, questions and quotes to start hundreds of great family discussions on patriotism, values, fun, and faith. We'll be back.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933. Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong-Williams.
Tina, are you ready?
Yeah.
I'm fired up today, Tina. You guys have me on fire. Patriotism, Tina, also has its dangers. Okay? stimulating virulent nationalism and preventing fruitful policy debates and carelessly directing a nation into wider destruction, pain, and sorrow. And politics, government agencies, and special interests take advantage of critical situations to advance their positions and their own personal agendas. And pernicious forces subvert genuine patriotism with slogans, simplifications, and calls to patriotism that disguise faulty policies and mask tendencies that create crises. I was just thinking about what your husband was saying and what your child was being taught. I mean, that does patriotism this disservice.
I agree. I've been reading a book recently that talked about the view of a 10-year-old in Germany during the Nazi era, and how the children were taught, just over and over how good their government is and how it's going to help them and how they need to spread this to the world, and just how the kids are being indoctrinated with things that are on a personal, like you said, people have a personal agenda they're trying to push instead of going back to what the founding fathers established for us. And I think it's so important to just teach that to the kids, that it's not, you have to be careful of who you're listening to and who, what their purpose might be of what they're teaching about patriotism, about freedom, and about government.
And then also, those who control media sources often define patriotism and then use the patriotic definition to promote their special interests. Attached to the definition is a bundle of catch expressions, pulling together our country, right or wrong, no time to contradict the leaders, our cause is just, all that other crazy stuff they use to manipulate us, Tina. Mm-hmm. Which is equally as dangerous.
It is, because they'll believe what they hear. When another story of our son came home from school recently after hearing a lot about the debates that were happening, the presidential debates, and he just heard the names Romney and Obama, and immediately said, "Oh, Romney lies." And he just heard that from another boy in the school, and we're like, "Well, how do you know he lies?" And, well, that's just what they told me. And I think that's just little kids, but when they hear it on TV, it's even more true. They think anything on TV is what is real.
It's
a dangerous thing.
Oh, please go ahead.
No, I was done.
John, which strikes up another point. Patriotism is more than just putting up a U.S. flag during wartime or during national holidays or when we lose soldiers and we raise the flag half-mast. Patriotism does not mean we are better than others, but that we are proud of what we have accomplished in this country and that we have no intention of ever surrendering it. And patriotism is going to work and being a productive member of society, helping others in your community who are in need. I mean, volunteering in your community. I mean, giving back to your community and your country. It's also about considering the needs of others as well as your own and respecting the will of the people, not the special interests.
Absolutely. And, how do you, other than voting, other than putting up a flag, like you said, talking to kids and like, well, how do you make a difference other than voting? And, how can you get involved? How can you, whether it's a community food bank, patriotism is just making this whole country a better place.
Tina, do you think that dissent is being unpatriotic?
Oh, no, I don't. I think everyone should be allowed their own opinion and be able to express it. And I think one of my favorite things about talking with our kids is giving them a way to express their opinions without being in a scary situation, just in a safe family situation where they can say things that might be different than what we believe. It gives them confidence so that when they go out in the real world, they're able to express their opinions and be confident in what they believe in, be able to express it that way. And our country runs on different opinions and getting the best from those opinions and making it work.
You know, John, America was founded. Tina makes a good point, because America was founded on democracy. What gives America the greatest strength is having all our citizens from all walks of life and cultures become informed on the issues that face our nation, and then voting to make sure they are heard, and leaving behind the apathy that has plagued our nation in recent decades, and get back to what our founding fathers died for.
Yeah, absolutely. It takes sacrifice. And sacrifice is, again, more than being a soldier. It's being a soldier in our society today. Absolutely.
Take all this and bring us to the table talk, the values, the faith, the fun, and we understand now the patriotism. But Tina, weave it all together for us.
What the purpose of table talk is that
weave it with all the things that we were just discussing.
Well, table talk was started when we decided that our kids needed to be taught informally, in a fun way, the things that matter most, like patriotism is one of them. And so we put them into a book, and we've gone from there.
More, John. I need more.
You know, you mentioned about how God plays a part. Here's one of the questions from the book. What part does God have with the founding of our nation? And then a follow-up question. How did the founding fathers feel about God? What role should God play in the nation today? You know, with the founding fathers, history books try to rewrite it and say, they were secular. They didn't really care about God. And then here's this quote by Benjamin Franklin. Quote, God governs in the affairs of man, and if a sparrow cannot fall to the ground without his notice, is it probable that an empire should rise without his aid? We have been assured in the sacred writing that except the Lord build the house, they that labor would labor in vain for it. I firmly believe this. I also believe that without his ensuring aid, we shall succeed in this political building no better than the builders of Babel. And so, there's Benjamin Franklin backing up the idea that we must have God in our society.
Well, to me, that's common sense, Tina. I mean, how can you separate the creator from his creation?
Yeah, you can't. You can't.
We understand that. What else is in this book, Tina? Tell us more in the book. We focus on patriotism, but tell us more about the book, why people should go out and get a copy of it.
Okay, well, there's questions about just fun questions, like, let me think about it for a second. Like, in what way would you make the world a better place? Is one of my favorite questions. As I was I would ask my daughter that this morning on her way to school in the car, mostly because I had this interview on my mind. But it was just fun to hear what she had to say. First, my 6-year-old piped up in the back, and he said, I want to make the world all out of candy. All the buildings would be candy, and the street would be candy. And I thought, that's cute. And then my 15-year-old was silent for a little while, and I thought she was ignoring me. So I asked her again, and she said, well, I wouldn't change anything. The world is perfect the way it is. It was made the way it was supposed to be. It's the people that are the problem. And I thought, what a great insight from this 15-year-old. And I just love that the book brings out that kind of conversation. There's other ones that are about safety. And like with Hurricane Sandy, just bringing that up at the table, asking, are we prepared? Would this happen where we are? And then giving them the peace of mind, knowing that we are prepared, that we have a plan for each family member. Just things like that. There's things about morals, about thrift and work ethic, and just all different kinds of topics that would matter to families.
John, anything you'd like to add?
Yeah. For instance, with education and the value of hard work, one of the questions, it kind of approaches it from a kind of a fun, different perspective. Imagine your family's only going to have 5 TV channels. Decide as a family what those 5 would be. And imagine, a family kind of haggling out, well, what is important here? And then one of the follow-up questions, well, what are the virtues and vices of television? And then here's one of those quotes that kind of brings the whole idea together. This is Nicholas Johnson, the former FCC commissioner. He said, quote, "All television is educational television. The question is, what is it teaching?" And I'm like, wow, that's profound, because no matter whether you're watching The Simpsons or what is Super Bowl, there's values being taught, whether it's hard work, like sports and what it can bring, or is teaching about laziness, or it's always teaching. And so there's a question that just brings up that idea.
How can someone go out and get a copy of the book?
One website that has it is, Tina, what's the name of that?
It's on our website, which is tabletalkbook.com, and it links you to booksandthings.com. Right now, since it doesn't come out until February, we're still trying to get it up and going, but that's the one link that's working right now.
And Amazon will have it, Barnes & Noble will have it, so as soon as we get just a little closer there.
It must have been excited writing this book as a wife and husband team.
It was. It actually started out as a husband-wife team project. It started when John asked me out on a date when we were newlyweds, and we just played ping pong, and we asked questions out of the book's questions.
Just hold there. I'm going to come back and say goodbye to you. Just hold there.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Hi, this is Armstrong Williams with an opportunity to own a piece of paradise in Nassau, Bahamas. Spectacular land prices, 8,000 square feet, 20,000 square feet lot, affordable prices, hilltop properties with views of the magnificent sea. Just call 242-677-3120 or 3121 or go to info@rightsidewire.com and leave your information.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong Williams.
Oh, please continue, Tina.
Okay. I was saying that we had this date where we asked each other questions, and it was fun, and we kept doing it. It would come up every once in a while, a date idea, to just ask each other questions to get to know each other. And we thought how fun it would be to do that with our children. But the questions in the book weren't exactly geared towards what we wanted to teach them. We recognized that this was a great opportunity at dinner time when they're all there eating, their mouths are full, they're quiet, that we could ask them and teach them things that mattered to us. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun to work on it as a couple and change it as our family has evolved and bring up things that are happening now. And like in the news, there was a boy at a school near us that brought a gun to school and accidentally shot a classmate. And so that question got put in the book. What would you do if a classmate brought a gun to school? So it's been a lot of fun. It's also been a really big learning experience too.
Listen, I cannot thank you both enough for joining us. I truly encourage people to go out and get, when Table Talk is out in February of 2013.
Well, thank you so much, Armstrong.
Thank you.
Certainly, it's been my pleasure. Thank you for engaging in the dialogue.
Okay.
Thank you.
All the best.
All the best.
Yes, you got to go out and get a copy of that book, Table Talk. John and Tina Bushman. If you want to learn about patriotism, values, fun, and faith. Welcome back. Welcome back to the Armstrong Williams Show. Dr. Jerry Cook is a Ph.D. He currently resides in Sacramento, California with his wife, Sarah, and their 3 children. He's an associate professor in the Department of Family and Consumer Sciences at Sacramento State, where he teaches and has published on parenting, marriage, family relations. And they have a new book, The Parent's Guide to Raising CEO Kids. Are CEO kids different from any other kids? And welcome to the show, Dr. Cook.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
So why are CEO kids different from other kids? You're telling me what you're writing will not work for other kids?
CEO kids basically refers to the children in the book who are in charge of their own businesses. But the things that we grabbed from their lives and from their own business experience was that children have a lot more potential than we give them credit for. Today, there's a lot of children who, and teens, kind of go throughout life and don't have a lot of purpose. And what we're trying to do is help them develop a sense of purpose.
Talk, man, not in sound bites. How are you helping them develop that purpose?
Well, maybe I could share our story first. When our oldest son was quite young, probably about 7 years old, we took him to a yard sale. And at the yard sale, there was a broken down Xbox. And we have a relatively small home right now, and he wanted to buy all this stuff. And one of the things was this broken down Xbox, and it was only for a quarter, so the price didn't matter. But we told him, we said, so what are you going to do? What are you going to do with the broken down Xbox? And he said, I'm going to sell it on eBay. So here was this 7-year-old kid who was telling us that he was going to sell a broken down Xbox on eBay, and we were pretty, we were pretty skeptical about it. We gave him a 2-week time limit, and he smiled at us, and he said, well, I could, don't worry, I'll take care of it. And within 1 week, he sold his Xbox, the broken down Xbox, on eBay for about $45. And that was really a major change, if you will, for my wife and myself. We started not only seeing our children in a different light, but we started seeing all children in a different light and thinking, wow, if kids can do this and they understand what the possibilities are, how can we facilitate that? And that's what really motivated us. And we interviewed about 140 youth entrepreneurs and their parents, many of their parents. And again, our idea was, how do we inspire young children today?
How do we? And how do we not just keep charging them with inspiration? How does it last for a while?
Well, I think a lot of it has to come within the home. I know there's a lot of really good programs out there with schools and interventions and different curriculum and things, but a large part of it, I think, comes from within the home, from parents and extended family members who believe in their children. And, that was, I grew up on a farm. I didn't know anything else besides, I had to work, And a lot of children don't really have that opportunity today. And if you give them the opportunity to develop their goals and their desires, I think would be really surprised with what they could come up with.
How important are those early experiences, work ethic, discipline, sacrifice, learning values, not only through rhetoric but through examples?
Mm-hmm. Well, basically, and I'm sure this is something that you and your listeners already know, but if you teach them while they're young, they grow up that way. In our front yard, we have a tree that has grown relatively crooked, and the same thing is true for children. When they learn from a very early age the importance of work and, in my opinion, the love of work, then they're going to learn to love that later on.
This is an important topic about parenting and growing your marriage by leaps and boundaries. Where does it all start? Do you grow it before you marry? How do you do it once you marry?
I'm sorry, can you repeat the question?
How does one grow to marriage?
Well, obviously there's a lot of different ways. And one of the things that really kind of bugs me with a lot of marital experts is a lot of people will say, well, the number one concern or problem among married couples today, and they'll name something. They'll say finances or sex. The number one problem for couples today is a problem that they're dealing with right now. And the way that they can grow their marriage by leaps and boundaries is learning to draw a line between the things that they want to have in their relationship and the things that they don't want to have in their relationship. So I'll give you an example. There's all around us, we have positive and negative influences. And couples, I think, very rarely will talk about the things that negatively impact or hurt their marriages. My goal is to help couples learn how to talk about the things that might hurt their relationship.
Go ahead.
So
this is a show where we talk. You've got to talk. You're the expert. You're our guest.
So basically, the way that I use boundaries is how we prioritize different things in our life. So it might be how often we're at work. It might be how long somebody is on social media. Social media is one of the biggest boundaries that I have found for couples today. And, it's really difficult for married couples today because most of us didn't see our own parents, even if they were married. We didn't see them deal with social networking. It wasn't around. And so we're kind of like the pioneers with marriages and social networking. I see a lot of spouses who are frustrated with their own spouses because they'll get 30 to 40 likes on Facebook in a couple of hours, and when they meet up with their spouse, they're frustrated that their spouse doesn't give them a lot of likes. So being able to know how to talk about these different things is really essential. The other thing that I'd really like to say about it is, even though in my book I give a lot of advice about how to grow your marriage by leaps and boundaries, in my opinion, and this is my biggest bias, is that each couple is really their own expert about how to strengthen their marriage. And if you could get them to talk about their marriage, to talk about their own strengths, to talk about their own challenges, that's how they're going to strengthen their marriage.
And you got to be very creative in strengthening and growing your marriage, especially where it includes the kids. You balance out the time with the kids, making sure that the husband and the wife have quality times and finding things that you can do together. And also, both of you equally sharing as much as you can in the learning and the growing experience of the children in the household.
Oh, there's no doubt about it. And, the rules seem to change all the time as the marriage progresses. So you have a newlywed couple, and they're incredibly affectionate usually. And as they get older and as they're married longer, they tend to become less and less affectionate. Their time and attention goes to other things, work and kids and so on and so forth. But they never talk about how to continue to show that amount of passion and concern for each other. So there's a lot of other competing factors that really, if we're not careful, it really bring down marriages.
Has brought them down. Our guests, grow your marriage by leaps and boundaries. Jerry L. Cook, Ph.D. We'll be back. Don't go away.
For more information on the Armstrong-Williams Show, please visit our new website at www.rightsidewire.com. There you can find his syndicated column archive, view live streams, and get your favorite conservative pundits' views on the current issues affecting the American people. From building wealth to foreign policy, stay connected with Armstrong-Williams and his colleagues at the all-new www.rightsidewire.com.
Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Whether it's their impact on prison guards, law enforcement officials, business executives, employees, or marriage and relationships, Lored is dedicated to changing the individual and institutions around the globe. Lored's diverse network and training courses can help provide you with the tools you need to both wisely and confidently lead, manage, and supervise yourself as well as others. Lored Business Network, a proven system for achieving success in your business and life. Please visit their website and begin this life-lasting journey with Lored today, www.lored.org.
To travelers along the road of life who have fallen asleep at the wheel, to the many who woke up in time to avert disaster and get back on the righteous path. For the ones who crashed and survived and now adhere vigilantly to a virtuous and righteous path. Finally, Armstrong-Williams' much-anticipated new book, Reawakening Virtues, gives his insights into these daily challenges and much more. Reawakening Virtues is available in bookstores and at Amazon.com.
Where heads of state, sports, entertainment, and political celebrities meet. You're listening to Armstrong-Williams.
To lay out the signs of a marriage in trouble.
Well, that's a great question. My signs are going to differ from other people's signs, and this is why. Spouses who sometimes maybe see their own spouse that doesn't talk with them or maybe disagrees with them, they might think that their relationship is in trouble. My own opinion about when you see a marriage in trouble is when each one of them, or at least one of them, is unwilling to work on the marriage. I'll give you a specific example. While I was growing up, my grandparents, they argued all the time. And I was really concerned about their marriage. But the one thing that they had going for them is wherever they went, they talked up their spouse. Even though they seemed to argue all the time in private, wherever they went, they talked about how wonderful their spouse was. And, they lived their entire lives married. They made it past 70 years of marriage. And so, basically when a marriage is in trouble, it's when one of them is no longer willing to work on the relationship.
Boy, that's asking for chaos. It affects everything around you, the job, the home, your family, your friends, everything. How do you avoid getting to that point? If you're in it, how do you get out of it?
Well, the best way is really to have a shift and to say, a lot of times people say we need to go back to traditional values. In some ways, I agree with that, because traditional values, there was commitment, loyalty, trust, and respect. So all of those things are incredibly important. It's a lot harder to incorporate those kinds of things in our society or culture today. Among some ethnic groups, only 50% of women marry. So we don't see a lot, as many happy married couples as we used to see. So,
well, what is it that we see? Acting?
Well, I think my point is kind of like what you were asking about before. You said, how do we see when a married couple is in trouble? Well, a lot of times, a lot of couples will break up a lot sooner than they really need to. So I don't think we just see acting. We might see acting, but my point is that a lot of people don't see married couples in the first place, and we don't see couples stick it out really as long as they could because of self-fulfillment or individualism and those kinds of things.
Whew. Boy, marriage is tough, isn't it? How important is faith in church and a religious center in marriage?
Well, definitely religion has pretty much always supported marriage. And the research is definitely out there, that those who go to church together typically will have longer marriages. But I also think it's that sense of spirituality. Faith teaches things like commitment, trust, loyalty. And if you're in a place that encourages those kinds of things, then you're going to be more likely to act on those kinds of things. You're going to be more likely to want to commit. You're going to be more likely to want to be faithful. Also, for me, I believe that marriage is really a preparation ground for meeting God, if you will. Because if I could learn to commit to and have faith in my own spouse and in my own marriage, which is imperfect, then it's going to be a lot easier for me to have faith and commit to God, who is perfect.
Well, at least you've created an environment to give your children the best start at life.
Definitely. Boy, I see it in the literature all over the place, and even in my own family, there's been divorce and separation, and among some of my really good friends, and it just breaks my heart to see their children and having to deal with things, and the children feel like they have to choose between spouses. You see their income levels go down. They're more likely to live in poverty. The girls are more likely to become teenage parents. They're more likely to struggle in school. So, to me, even though faith is a very central or important part of marriage, I think regardless of whether a person has a specific faith or they don't believe in organized religion, it's really important to encourage strong marriages in our society. And I just have a hard time with politics today because there seems to be this divide. There's the conservative side that says, okay, we want marriages to stay together for a long time, and then the more liberal side is, we don't want to force couples to stay together. And what I think is missing is how do we help couples be happier together? Instead of looking at the stability part, how do we help them grow together and be happier together? And that stability will come. And their children will be a lot better off for it, too.
You give them the best shot at having good marriages and being good citizens.
Well, there's no doubt about it. Those who, for my wife and I, we call it tag team. And when one of us is tired, the other, or we'll essentially tag the other spouse and say, it's your turn to take care of the kids. And basically, it's those kinds of things. Again, it's helping children understand the importance of commitment, sticking to something, having a sense of loyalty, and just as we're talking about how that's a preparation ground for one's relationship with God, it's also their relationship with other people. So how do you treat other people?
And how do you advise them?
How do you interact with them when you have a disagreement with them?
And your advice?
Well, first of all, again, how children are going to act is going to be based on what they see from their own parents. So my first advice that I would give to couples is that when there is some kind of argument, tell yourself and tell your spouse the following words. You are more important to me than anything and anyone else. I'm really upset about this issue right now, but I want to come back to it or to you when I'm ready to talk about it. Because most of us, when we're upset or we have an argument, we say things that we don't want to say or that we shouldn't say, or we kind of storm off. But when we have an argument with a spouse and say, you're the most important person to me in the entire world, and we're going to get through this, that anchors the relationship. And that teaches children how to interact with other people, to be less selfish, to be less greedy, to be more patient, and to be more forgiving.
And forgiveness is so important, Doctor.
It really is. I always believe that there's not any perfect spouses or marriages, but our spouses and marriages can really be perfect for us. And that's, without that forgiveness, we can't let go of the past. We can't grow. We can't succeed.
That's why we keep repeating the same relationship mistakes.
Yeah, regardless of whether a person is married or not, for children to see that sense of forgiveness, it's to me, it's a little bit like a bank account. Children who grow up without that sense of forgiveness in their home, it's hard to give it to somebody else. Much like writing a check. If you don't have money in the bank, you can't give money to other people. And it's also true of forgiveness and love and affection, those kinds of things.
Where can someone go out and get a copy of your book?
Say that again?
How can someone get a copy of your book?
The easiest way is to go to Amazon and to type in the title, Grow Your Marriage by Leaps and Boundaries, or they could also go to my website, www.drjerrycook.com.
Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you so much for sharing this story. So many. Tell us the name of the book again.
It's Grow Your Marriage by Leaps and Boundaries, and thank you very much.
All right, all the best, and thank you for joining us. We want to thank also our earlier guests, John and Tina Bushman, and their book. And I encourage you to go out and get a copy of Dr. Jerry Cook's book. You got to get it, The Parents' Guides to Raise and See Your Kids We never really got into CEO kids, did we?
Yeah, we started talking about it, but we kind of let it go after a little bit.
Well, we all are CEOs of kids. All parents are chief executive officers of that household.
That's so true.
Yes. All the best, Doctor. Thank you again.
Thank you. Take care.
All right. And thank you so much for joining us for the Armstrong-Williams Show. Take care, everybody. Happy holidays.
High Point University has experienced unprecedented growth during the worst economic disruption in decades. This growth is driven by a university that focuses on holistic education, on experiential learning, and on values-based living. At High Point University, every student receives an extraordinary education in an inspiring environment with caring people. See what makes High Point University extraordinary at highpoint.edu.
Join the millions of Americans who pursue one of our country's finest traditions, from hunting to sport shooting. Since 1871, the NRA has grown as a service organization involved in all aspects of shooting sports and is a proud defender of the Bill of Rights. Join today to begin taking advantage of exclusive membership offers and discounts, including up to $25,000 in insurance coverage. Contact the NRA today. Call 1-800-672-3888 or visit nra.org. Anderson Brothers Bank, a family-owned and operated establishment that blends traditional personal service, local market awareness, and advanced technology to meet the financial needs of its customers. Visit abbank.com or call 843-464-6271 to see how they can assist you with your banking needs. Anderson Brothers Bank, celebrating 75 years of community banking, the way it should be. Stability right in your backyard since 1933.
Life is full of unexpected changes. Everyone has potential to do wrong. And when they choose to do it, contact the Bucksell Group for your private investigation needs. TheBucksellGroup.com or by phone at 202-243-9746. Whether there's an instance of a cheating spouse, child custody, process service, or security, don't continue suspecting. Get closure so that you can move on with your life. Visit TheBucksellGroup.com now or call 202-243-9746. If you think it's happening, it probably is.
America must change course if we hope to survive and save the American dream for our children and grandchildren. How do we fix Social Security and Medicare? How do we cut government spending? How do we reform health care? How do we simplify the tax code? The Heritage Foundation has a bold plan that tackles these tough problems using common sense solutions that leave partisan politics on the sidelines. Find out how we can save the American dream at savingthedream.org, paid for by the Heritage Foundation.
Does your school, team, church, or charity need a new fundraiser? Do you need to work out of your home or part-time? Are you a small business that can use an additional revenue stream? Then you need Yellow Llama. Do you need affordable web services or tools to enhance your existing business? Are you a graphic artist who wants to create a revenue stream with your art but not get ripped off? Then go to www.yellowllama.com.
The sweet potato pie. Even the keenest taste buds will tell you the best food on the planet. Large enough to serve you and small enough to know you. So get to Henry's at 5431 Indian Head Highway, Oxon Hill, Maryland, or give us a call at 301-749-6856.
Soul food. Henry's Soul